Well, the overcooked housing market could send thousands of Aussie homeowners into mortgage stress as interest rates creep towards 3%, according to research by Deloitte Access Economics. Nine Finance Editor Ross Greenwood is here with all the details this morning. Among other things, Ross, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Carl.
A lot of debt loaded up.
Well, that's right. And Dr Chris Richardson's one of the best economists in this country. So he's put out a warning, in particular about Melbourne and Sydney prices. He says Sydney prices right now are dangerously dumb. Now, those people who are exposed to these are those people who are buying into the market right now, those people who are taking on big mortgages, and those people, especially first home buyers, who are struggling to get in and suddenly find themselves, if they do get in, that they have very little equity, and then if they lose a job, bust up their marriages, whatever, they could have problems. Chris Richardson says he believes that interest rates in Australia from the Reserve Bank will double over the next 3 or 4 years, double from 1.5% to 3%. But that would cause enormous amounts of pain if mortgage rates were to go back to, say, for example, 6%.
All this stuff that it's overcooked. I mean, the thing is, I read today that yesterday or in the last week, of an attic in Rose Bay sold for $1 million.
Yeah, I know. This is the sort of stuff you can't believe. And if you're living in Perth, if you're living in Darwin, if you're living in Hobart, you can't believe those types of stories, because there are affordable houses in Australia. It's that many people who want to live in Sydney or Melbourne or parts of Brisbane, they just don't choose to live there. And so as a result, there's a lot of buying demand. There's a lot of investors from overseas wanting to buy. And that's the fundamental problem that takes place.
You know better than me. You've been in this game for centuries.
A long time. Years. Yeah, decades.
They just keep going up, though, in Sydney.
Well, but it stops. It ultimately stops. It reaches a point at which people cannot physically afford them or people go broke.
And
when that happens, then you get a fall. And that's what Chris Richardson's worried about, because now the Reserve Bank can control it. But you can do something about it. There's a survey out today that's come out that says you can save significant amounts on your mortgage, but it's what we've been saying for a long, long time.
OK, what's your advice to those people out there concerned they may be headed for some level of mortgage stress?
OK, and indeed, if they go to 3%, there's another survey out today that says it could be nearly 1 million people who end up in mortgage stress. You know, that's a third of all people.
Come on, 3%? I remember Mum and Dad were paying 17%.
True, but they hadn't borrowed as much money. And so what happens is, if you suddenly find yourself with a massive mortgage and interest rates rise very rapidly, you're in some mortgage stress to the point at which if you lose a job, you could lose your house as well. So the answer is fixed rate loans and to hang on to your job. These are the two key things that people can do. There are defences these days people have got that they didn't have when your mum and dad were buying their first home. And that is the fundamental difference in our property markets right now.
There's no need to get cranky with me, Ross.
I'm not at all. I'm delighted with you.